Good morning, my name is Alex and I'm an educator here at the Emerald Coast Science Center. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a couple of the really cool animals that we have. So to begin with, we're going to start with our sugar gliders. Their names are Marie, Pierre, and Beck. They are named after Marie and Pierre Curie, as well as Antoine Henry Becquerel. So these guys actually worked on radioactivity. So Becquerel discovered radioactivity. He's considered the father of radioactivity. Back in 1896, X-rays were discovered, and he wanted to compare how fluorescent minerals interacted with photogenic plates, similar to the plates that we have today for X-rays, how they would work exposed to sunlight. So he went out one day. He was like, all right, tomorrow I'm going to get my materials together. I'm going to put it out in the sunlight. We'll see what image shows up on the plate. The next day he woke up and it was rainy. He ended up putting his minerals as well as the metal cross that he was going to use against the plate and the plate all on top of each other and put it in a drawer. Said, okay, I'll get it out the next day. That next day, there was no sunshine at all. It was cloudy for the entire next week. Finally, when a sunny day did come around, he got those out, and before he was able to even get it out together and put it in that sunlight, he discovered the image of the cross on the plate already. This is actually what caused him to discover radioactivity. Those minerals were putting out their own light that allowed for this to do something similar to X-rays. Pierre and Marie Curie both continued on his work. They actually discovered polonium and radium. And they continued on. They actually shared a Nobel Prize in 1903 with Becquerel for his discoveries. And then in 1911, Marie Curie got her own Nobel Prize along with her daughter. They continued their research. She's actually the first person to have ever gotten 2 Nobel Prizes, and she is also the first woman to have taught at the Sorbonne, which is one of the first universities in the world. And so that was a pretty significant accomplishment in her life. So now that you know the namesake behind these guys, we're going to show them to you. These guys are pretty cool. So these are our sugar gliders. You can kind of see them poking their head out a little bit. They might not come out fully. They are nocturnal creatures. Do you guys know what nocturnal means? I'll give you a couple seconds. Maybe discuss it at home a little bit. So nocturnal means that they sleep during the day and they hunt and are more active at night. So if you can see, let's find them. Hi guys. There you go. And so you can see their large eyes. They're actually really good at having night vision. Those large eyes allow for them to see their prey better at night. They also have these ears that allow them to, they're kind of like satellite dishes on their head. They can turn independently of one another in order to locate the sound that they're hearing. So their hearing is also really good. Their sense of smell is amazing. One fun fact about these guys, if you were here, you could kind of smell a little bit of a pungent odor to them. They pee on everything, basically their territory, just to identify where they're at, tell the other sugar gliders, hey, this is my area, don't come around here. But they also pee on their friends in order to help communicate and identify. So it's not the nicest way of making friends, but it gets the job done, right? So they do have opposable thumbs. So like you and me, we can do this with our hands. This allows them to bend those thumbs and grab the tree branches, and then they can choose to glide. So how they glide is they actually have a wing. It's a flap of skin that connects from their forearm all the way down to their ankle. Let's see if I can get one of them to come forward a little bit. So it's this extra flap of skin here, just located, and so they flare their arms and legs out, and that allows them to glide from tree to tree. So do you guys know why they're called sugar gliders? Why they have sugar in their name? Do you think they eat cotton candy or peppermints or anything like that? No, they actually get their sugar intake from the natural sugars that are located in fruits. That they'll find out in the trees and in the wild. They also need protein, so they eat a lot of different things like bugs, and that helps them. And that's really important when they're pregnant in order to get an extra intake of protein, just to help carry that baby along. So babies are born typically about 17 days after mating, and they are birthed and they crawl out, and the mother actually licks a little pathway from the hole that they're born out all the way to the pouch in her stomach. So because they have a pouch, do you know what that makes these guys? So this actually makes them marsupials. So different creatures like kangaroos, wombats, koalas, and even the possum that we have in the United States all have pouches. They can carry their babies in there. So they typically have 1 to 2 babies at a time. They can have up to 4, but that's extremely rare. So those babies make their way up all the way into that pouch. Sometimes the mother has to help them, otherwise they can get stuck in her fur. But they're actually super tiny. They're typically the size of a grain of uncooked rice. And I can show you right here. Hopefully that shows up on the camera. But that's compared to a pinhead right there. So they're super tiny and they grow really fast. So it typically takes about 2 months for them to fully come out of their mother's pouch. Sometimes they can be hard to find in that pouch for the first week or 2. But after a while, they grow so fast that you'll be able to see them. They almost look like a little ball stuck in that pouch. So like I said, they do have opposable thumbs. They also have, their back feet are able to grip onto things as well and bend those fingers. What's really interesting about their back feet is their second and third toe are actually connected, while the others are a little bit more separated on the foot. This is actually for grooming, so they like to groom themselves a lot, and they use that as almost a comb. So they have special nails on there. You can kind of see right here, that second and third toe that I'm talking about. And then their thumb doesn't have any nail on it at all. So if you did have one of these guys as pets, because they can be kept in the pet trade, you do want to trim their nails from time to time, or they will bite them off themselves, but you usually want to leave that second and third toe on the back feet. They'll groom that themselves. And so they do come out for treats from time to time. Sometimes they do get a little bit grumpy. I'm not going to take them fully out of the pouch, just because I don't want to wake them up too much and disturb them, just because they're doing us a favor by coming out at this time of day. So we do have one female. Our female is here, Marie, and then Pierre and Beck are in there as well. Pierre usually comes out for treats more, and Beck is a little bit more of the shy one. So these guys are at least 3 years old, but they have a lifespan of between 9 and 12 years. What's also really fascinating about these guys is they only have one hole to poop, pee, and have babies out of. So all of that is connected. It just comes out of the same area. Let me see if I can get a tail out for you guys. So you can kind of see their tail naturally curls around my finger a little bit. So this tail isn't strong enough to hold onto a tree branch like a monkey would and support its full weight, but that tail can hold maybe a couple sticks just to help them get to where they want to go. And then it also allows them to stabilize better on that tree branch. So these guys are really cool. You can kind of see their full size here. They only get to be about 4 to 6 ounces, so they're quite small. And I believe that is all that I have for these guys. So I am going to go ahead and we are going to talk about our next animal. Actually, before I get to the hedgehogs, I do want to talk a little bit more about the possum. So, like I said, the possum is a marsupial. They have this little pouch for their babies to come out of. This is the only marsupial that we have in North America. They're really important to our environment. They eat different pests that we don't really want in our yards, different snakes, frogs, rats, mice, and they can also eat ticks. So ticks get on you or your dog when you're camping or going out in high grass. They can actually eat those. What's really cool about these guys is also they don't really have the ability to get rabies. It's extremely rare if they do, but their body temperature is lower, in the low 90s, I believe. So it doesn't allow for the virus to stay in the system. So these guys might seem a little bit scary if you see them out in the wild, but they're actually harmless. They don't really attack humans, and they don't really attack any kind of domestic animal either unless they're feeling threatened. So they also play dead a lot. You might hear the term playing possum. So if they get scared or a predator comes by, they might just lay down and look dead. And that's just to make sure that the predator doesn't really want to eat them. They don't look too appetizing when they appear dead. And sometimes they do let out a little bit of an odor to help with that death look. But that's really cool about these guys. So our next animal is going to be our hedgehog. Our hedgehog's name is Reuben. He is an albino African pygmy. He is named after Vera Rubin. She's an American astronomer. She worked on galaxy rotations and predicted the angular motion of galaxies and observed the motion by studying galactic rotation curves. And then she also discovered that there is dark matter in the Andromeda galaxy nearby. So she actually said that there's a lot of galaxies that are made up of this dark matter. Go ahead and show you guys a picture in just one moment. But here he is. He's a little bit active. He is also nocturnal. He has all these spines on him. You can pet them. They're not too bad, although if you come at him and he puffs up a little bit, they can be very pokey. So they are made up of keratin, which is the same thing that your nails are made up of. They have about 5,000 spines on them, and each spine lasts about a year. Sometimes they do fall out or they do shed, but they regrow them back. He is burrowing a little bit, as you can see. Again, he is nocturnal. His eyesight is very poor. It's better at night, but during the day he can hardly see anything. They rely heavily on their sense of smell, and one of the pictures that I was just pulling up refers to anointing. So they do anoint themselves. They find some sort of weird smell, whether it's things like they're digging in the dirt or things like that. They put that on their tongue, they swish it around their mouths and create this weird saliva. So you can kind of see it there, and they bend back, and their tongue is really long. They're able to stick that saliva on their back and make themselves smell more like whatever source they just took from. So this is thought to help camouflage them in the wild. So these guys get a variety of protein. They're mainly eating mealworms. You can feed them high protein cat food. We feed them high protein canned cat food, just a little bit wet and adds flavor to it as well. But they do really enjoy live mealworms, chasing around, things like that. So these guys are native to South Africa. There are other species of hedgehogs as well that you can find in different places like Europe or Asia. And there are ones that can get even bigger, like the size of a dodgeball. So Reuben here is full grown. He's never going to get any bigger than he is right now. That attributes to the pygmy in the African pygmy hedgehog name. So he's going to say tiny. You can own these guys as pets as well. Sometimes you have to find an exotic breeder. But the most important thing to note here is while you can own these guys and our sugar gliders as pets, they're very hard to take care of. And you want to make sure that you have the time to dedicate to them. So hedgehogs live to be between 4 and 6 years old, and Reuben here is about 2 years old. And so, let's see. What's really cool about these guys, a lot of people think they're rodents, and they're not. They're actually mammals. They do have sharp teeth that allows them to dig and mush up all those bugs and everything that they dig out of the ground, or that we put in their kennels for them. They are lactose intolerant, so they should never be given any sort of dairy product. It can make them very sick. So I think that is all I have today for these guys. But be sure to tune in at 10 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to have some really cool science to show you guys.
That's a question. So Tobias asked if hedgehogs come in blue as well.
Hedgehogs, to my knowledge, do not come in blue. You might have seen Reuben's color. He's a little bit more white, but they're typically more of a brown or a blackish color. They're typically a lot darker, but blue would be a really cool color to see. If you guys have any questions or any comments, go ahead and comment on this post. We're still not open, unfortunately, but you can continue to support us. You can go ahead, we'll put a donation link up, but you can also purchase a membership, sponsor an animal, or sponsor a science project. But if you have any questions in the meantime, go ahead and comment and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So thanks for watching, guys.